Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows, everyone. My name is Nomsa Clara Mzube. I'm the founder of Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency and the founder of Ngosi Talk Shows. So find your own voice. Lead from within. Over to you, Carol Ann. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Good afternoon from London, UK. And yes, as a writing facilitator, what I do is I support soul-driven entrepreneurs in becoming more productive with their writing by connecting them with their deeper innate ability to write. But more importantly, they experience an unlocking of the writer within and getting their book written, getting their story written. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. It's been a fascinating journey, and it's one that I love to share and support others in doing. So I'm Carol Ann, the writing facilitator.
My name's Amanda Cottrell. I'm coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and it is bright and early here and freezing cold. No, so I think your speaker's on again. It's causing background noise. I am an artist, an illustrator, a teacher, and I'm an author. I write children's books. And my passion is helping people find their own unique creative capacities within themselves.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Amanda. Now I'm stuck. Take over, somebody.
Oh dear. So
I'm stuck. I was stuck. That's why I don't like it when I'm trying to unmute myself. So I was stuck. So our topic today is how to deal with the disappointments over Christmas. So some of you might have. Actually, I need to give it to Carol Ann. You might have. Did you have any disappointments, Carol Ann? What made you choose this topic?
Great question. Yes, I've had disappointments over the years, but something happened on Christmas Day that and a few things since then, but I can talk about those a bit later. But in particular, what happened on Christmas Day, I've been looking forward to some books that I'd ordered. There's one that I'd ordered for myself. I'd actually decided to treat myself for a Christmas present this year. It's something I've never done before, and it was quite So I got my daughter to order it for me, and she wrapped it up for me. And I'd selected the cover because obviously there was different pictures, different front covers for different editions, and I selected the one I wanted, and I'd sent her the link. And when the book came, it was a completely different cover. The book is actually George Orwell, 1984, which I've been guided to read because I'm really feeling like this is something that is quite akin to where we're at now. But this isn't the cover that I ordered, and I was going, oh, no, that's not what, and I allowed it to take over where I was at in that moment. And my daughter went, but I ordered the one you asked me to get. And I go, that's okay. It's still the same book, but I'd spent time choosing the front cover. And when I actually went back and looked, this particular cover wasn't anywhere in the selection at all. So I don't know what happens, whether it's they just choose or what happens to come out. That edition that they're showing, it has changed. But never mind, I've got the book. But yes, I was disappointed. And the other one was I'd asked my other daughter for a particular book, an author, Virginia Woolf, and it was a book that had been recommended by a friend to read. And I'd said, I'd given my daughter a selection of books to get me as a present from her, and she got me one. I'd said I wanted, and I'm really excited. The other one, it was the one I'd asked for was A Room with a View. No, sorry, a Room of One's Own. Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own. I keep getting mixed up with the two. And she sent me this one, To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. And I was like, oh, okay. And I allowed disappointment to be there for a while. But a bit later, I did have a conversation with her and said, well, what made you choose that one? And she hadn't realized that in my list, I actually put one. She read that when she was doing her English language A-level, or she studied it at A-level. So it was one that came to her mind. But what was interesting, and I said to her, was that in my head, when I was sending the list of books to her, that or maybe there's one that you can think of that you might think I'd like to read. I mean, she laughed at me. And I went, but for me, that was like, well, maybe there was some subconscious thing there. But yes, there was disappointment, and I allowed myself to go into that for a little while. And I realized that's what I'd done. And so it was sitting with it and then just letting it go and just working with that. But I realized that there are people that have had disappointments over Christmas. This happens. I've had it before when there was a present that I'd asked my parents for. Oh, this is when I was quite young, and I wanted a charm bracelet, and I wanted a specific one, a silver charm bracelet, a nice delicate one. And they bought me this chunky sort of brass-looking one, and I was really, this isn't what I wanted. I think I only ever wore it once. I was really ungrateful, and I've took me many years to let go of that ingratitude and go, well, okay, maybe there was lack of communication on my part as to what specifically I wanted, So, and obviously this year people have been disappointed with their plans that they've had. They've made plans, and then all of a sudden COVID hit and it's been scuppered, So I just thought maybe there's something we could discuss here. And there's something I'd like to share with people. There's a little process that they can go through that will help them to shift and transform it. It was something I sat and went through this morning. I identified it yesterday. It took me till this morning to go through it about something else. So we can actually relate it not just to Christmas, but it's actually to our lives and our business as well, because there are disappointments in life and in business. And it's how do we deal with it? How do we deal with it? And it is recognizing that actually Christmas is not as much about opening presents as opening our hearts. And that's by Janice Miditeri. Once you realize that, it's that opening of the heart and not focusing on the present, that gift, that giving that had happened, things can change. So how do you deal with disappointments? So have you had disappointments, Amanda?
Yeah, when I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking more about relationships and family dynamics than as that source of disappointment than necessarily presence. I know coming from being divorced, I know that sometimes when I don't have my daughter, then I can be like really disappointed and sad and struggle with Christmas. But I found that through like over time, because I've been divorced for 8 years, that it gets easier and easier each year, and that we just make Christmas different for her and I, and we just do what works for us. And I kind of, now that she's a little bit older, I let her decide like what day she wants to celebrate it on. And originally she had planned that we would do our Christmas morning on Boxing Day, because I got her at noon on Christmas. But then when I talked to her in the morning on Christmas morning, she's like, I changed my mind. I want to do it now. Can we do it as soon as I get home? And I was like, okay, like, let me get it set up. I'll do it when we get home, because she was just so excited and didn't want to wait till the next morning, which was totally fine. But we just make it different for us. And then I was thinking too, along the lines of like, if you come from a family of like alcoholism or something too, like that can be a real struggle at Christmas time. I know for me that having family members that are alcoholics has been a big struggle of disappointment for me over the years, and I've had to set really clear boundaries around that, and to make sure that my daughter and I have a good sleep. Like, no, we're going to sleep in our own beds at our own house and make sure we have a good sleep on Christmas, because I'm not dealing with people partying till 3 in the morning on Christmas and then having my daughter wake up at 6 a.m. It's not happening. So those are some of the sort of things that I thought of for disappointment, not necessarily presents, but more in relationships and the way that people behave. And so I've always, over the years, I've learned how to set really clear boundaries for myself for what's going to be healthy for me over Christmas. And so this year was actually one of my funnest Christmases. We went to a girlfriend's house for a Christmas dinner on the 23rd, and then on the 24th I went to another friend's house, and we had her son, also from divorce, but they were opening presents a little bit early, and we were riding hoverboards around the house. And then on Christmas morning I slept in and went and got my daughter at noon, and then we had our fun Christmas, and then we went to friends for dinner, and it was just so great, and we had such a good time. And then we went to Panorama for a couple days to ski before it got freezing cold. It's like -30 here. So it's really cold. So we haven't been able to be outside at all. And I'm disappointed about the weather because I wanted to ski and skate and go for hikes in the mountains, and you can't even be outside right now. You have to, you can't be outside for more than like 3 minutes to shovel the driveway. Otherwise it's way too cold. So I think disappointment can come in a lot of different areas, and it's really how you deal with it. So we've been dealing with the cold by playing board games and having friends over, and then painting and creating. And even like just having some curl up movie time. We redid my daughter's bedroom on Boxing Day. Those are just some of the things we've been doing to keep busy and enjoy the holidays, even though the weather has kind of been a downer this year. It seems to happen every year. It's really cold over some part of Christmas holidays. But I didn't think of it as a presents point of view. I thought about it as like relationships and struggles with that as the disappointing things that come to mind over Christmas. And I know the first year that I was divorced, I think I just laid in bed and cried for like, after my daughter left, I was like, just laid in bed and cried for the rest of the day. And that was completely okay, because not having your child at Christmas is a big struggle and a disappointment, and you have to be gentle with yourself, especially if it was your first year without them. So yeah, that's where I came from that aspect. Namsa?
Thank you so much. Reframing is not really steady. I'm not sure what's going on. They keep popping up the message that is not steady. So the disappointments come in so many different ways. Like Carol Ann says, getting the wrong presents can be a disappointment. They say you have to join my club. So for me, I'm no longer a big Christmas fan because for me, Christmas was to spend time with my family, not basically it being about not being about the presents. It's just the joy that I love about Christmas. But I feel that it's all been taken away by commercial and media. Now it's all about presents and stuff. That old Christmas tradition, I felt that it's been taken away. So that's why I divorced Christmas. But I celebrate it with my children because they love Christmas. But this time it was a very disappointment because we had positive cases just before Christmas, a few days before Christmas, and they were like everyone is isolating and stuff. So it was a disappointment to them because it means a lot to them. They were really looking forward to celebrate Christmas and my children. And I like Amanda when she says as well that disappointments can be family relationship. Sometimes there are some people that receive bad news like a relationship breaking up a few days before Christmas, and it can be a really, really sadness time for other people. And sometimes it could be just receiving the bad news that somebody has died just before Christmas. Basically, or sometimes the people being lonely, like Amanda is saying, not having your daughter with you on Christmas Day because it is one of your values that you love to spend Christmas with your daughter. And when that is being stripped away from you because of family problems and the divorce, and that can cause basically disappointments because everybody want to spend Christmas with their child. So, and your ex-husband is well expected to spend Christmas with her. So that can spend the Christmas. It can bring a disappointment to families, but it's got to be done. Somebody has to spend time with their child, and that can be a disappointment. But I like it the way you say choose the day, like you and your daughter have come up with a plan that you choose the day how you celebrate that day, make it special just for you. I think that is amazing when you can just say, okay, if I can't celebrate it with you on this day, we're gonna create our own special time that we're going to spend time together. I think that is amazing. And Carol Ann, she came to terms with her disappointments of not receiving presence. Actually, this year I had so much, although we had positive cases, but I think I had so much joy because I took the expectations away from me of who is buying this. So I got everyone presents in the house. I didn't get myself a presents. Only thing I got was when I went to town because I knew I had to upgrade to my sexy knickers. That's what I did, but I didn't get any presents for myself. My daughter got me some present, and I told everyone not to buy me presents. For me, in the house, Carol Ann, um, with my man, I don't ask him to buy me present. I go and pick what I want. If I want something, I go and pick it what I want. That's my present, so I don't get disappointed. So that's what I do. Or I tell people exactly what I need. If it things that I don't need, but sometimes you get the wrong ones as well. Like Carol Anna, you explained what you want and then you picked your present, you still get the wrong one. So it does happen that you get a really disappointment. But my biggest disappointment was I could see the faces of my children, how much they were excited about the Christmas when my daughter it's actually my daughter came to the house and I just started throwing everyone in the coronavirus test just few days before Christmas. Everyone is happy, no one is sick, and they're testing and everyone because I'm positive. I'm like, okay. So we had to find a way of, and then that's when I realized actually this pandemic, that's how it's being spread. If you don't know you're walking, you don't know you're sick, because they didn't have symptoms of anything. So I was like, okay, that's how it's being spread. Mostly the children are spreading it basically because they don't get symptoms. And it made me realize actually that, okay, expectations of my children have been stripped away. So, but I had to make it very comfortable for them. I have to make it very exciting. But we go through it, even though they're still isolating, but we go through those challenging times because we hope it didn't get really sick. So she's just got mild symptoms. So, but it was disappointing for her because her friends were coming and talking through the window, not being able to give her the presents. They were like throwing the presents through the window in her bedroom. So I was like, oh, that's disappointing. But that's how life is. Sometimes we make plans, but our plans is not our plan. It's not Gary's way. So we have to expect the changes. And over to you, Carol Ann, please.
Yes, I love the way you adapted, and it's right. And I love what Eliza Tabor says. Disappointment to a noble soul is what cold water is to burning metal. It strengthens, tempers, intensifies, but never destroys it. And I think that's where, we can focus on what can we do? Yes, there's disappointment here, but it's not allowing it to destroy you. It's allowing for something stronger to come out. And actually, memories can be made in that disappointment. Like you just had that fun memory there made of her friends coming to the window and sharing, presents. So you make something out of it. And I remember, quite a few years ago now, we'd bought this huge turkey. We'd bought it for my sister because she, grew turkeys. She raised turkeys specifically for selling at Christmas, and we bought one, and it was big, and we hadn't thought about the size oven that we had. So we got prepared it and went to put it in the oven, and it wouldn't fit the oven. The oven was too small, and it's like, oh my God, what do we do? But we ended up cutting it up, breaking it up into different pieces, cooking it separately. But it's become a memory that we now laugh about. We've got some photos, and I was going through. It came up on my Facebook thing the other day, memories, and it was like, oh yes, I'd forgotten about that. So it's something, yes, you can laugh about in hindsight. It's created a memory, and it's something that it brought us together in a different way. But it is being able to reframe it and create something out of it so that you can move forward. And in terms of the book that, to the lighthouse that was bought, I'm going, okay, I can read that one. I've started reading it, and some other things have come up for me to look at in terms of reading. But the book that I did ask for, I can have for my birthday, because my birthday's only a few weeks away. So again, reframe it. Look at it. How can you make it work for you? And because it's, if you sit in that disappointment and it festers, and you allow it yourself to wallow in it, that's where things don't go right, and they end up going completely a way that you don't want to, and it's unhealthy. And who is it? I like what Joyce Meyer says. Depression begins with disappointment. When disappointment festers in the soul, it leads to discouragement. And I love that word, it festers. And I had something yesterday that just festered. I was supposed to have a call with somebody. It was an accountability call. And I got it in my diary, and we were just checking in for the week. And I called, there was no answer. I left a message, I left a WhatsApp note, nothing. And I just felt disappointed because it was like I felt let down, and I put lots of different meanings to it, but I let it fester, that disappointment, and I got discouraged, and I didn't do anything that I planned to do yesterday. And this is where, if you allow it to get to that point, your time then just goes and you become discouraged. You don't do what you set out to do. You become even more disappointed. And again, that's not healthy. It's a downward spiral. So it is about somehow lifting yourself out of that so that you can reframe it, let it go, or just shift who you're being around it, find a way of moving forward with it. So it is, disappointment comes in many ways. And I love what you were saying, Amanda, about in the beginning, yes, your daughter wasn't with you. And it's disappointing because you're so used to having her with you, and it is this expectation. And I think this is where disappointment comes. We have an expectation of this is how something should be. And there's that red flag, that word, should. And then there's a lack of real communication. And something came to mind and then popped out again as I was saying that. Not where it'll come back again. And these things happen. It was something I was going to share and I completely forgotten what it was. It was something that you were talking about, Amanda, that prompted that. Oh, that's right. Yes. And something that Noms has said. There's sort of two things. It was, I think 5 years ago now, where my uncle died just before Christmas. And I'd had that, I'd said to Mum, oh, I feel like I need to see, Uncle Howard, which was her brother. I knew he was ill. And I'd had this expectation. It was like, oh, I can take Mum, we'll go visit him. It didn't happen. He died before we got there, or was able to do that. But my mum went into a, oh gosh, she sunk into that depression, kept thinking about her brother, and she'd go into tears. But on Christmas Day, my sister and my daughter and family, we were at my mum's, and we actually had a beautiful Christmas Day. And we remember that day because we remembered family. We brought back all the silly jokes that we used to say, and we kept, like the knock knock jokes and all those absolutely crazy jokes that you go, oh, the ones that you've grown at. But we've created a memory. So as I was saying before, it was creating a memory. We drew something out of it because we always had great times at my uncle's place. And there was always jokes and fun and games. So having that time together then, it just helped the whole situation. So it is, making out of it what it is that you maybe didn't want, but it's something else can come. And it's allowing yourself to make that shift. And I hear that, Amanda, you've made that shift over the years. And I love that you say, you shifted Christmas to having opening presents on different days. Does it have to be on Christmas Day? No. You open it, you make Christmas what you want it to be. It's a celebration of love, of giving, and family, and, friends. So, yeah, I love that you made it something different. So what else are you hearing here, Amanda? What else would you like to add?
Oh, I was thinking about what Nomza said with the with her family having COVID positive cases. I know where I live, there's a lot of people who have that same thing right now. So they probably had a really different Christmas than they were expecting, and that could have caused a lot of struggles throughout. I know I have a number of friends who have COVID right now, and their plans obviously got thrown out the window, and now have to make the best of what they have, being stuck in isolation. But I think that most people can find some joy regardless. Like Noza was saying with her daughter's friends throwing presents through the window, like that just made me like giggle to myself, but also think about like how resilient and adaptable children are, and how resilient we can be too if we just reframe our mindset into figuring out ways around difficult situations. And sometimes it's celebrating on different days. And I like what Nomza says about I've divorced Christmas, because I kind of feel the same way too. But for my daughter, we always do something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. So she knows that she's getting like a book, and she's getting something to wear, and then something she needs, and something that she wants. And this year the thing that she really wanted was a new duvet cover, which is hilarious because she's 10, and I'm like, what 10-year-old wants a duvet cover? But she was so excited for it, and she just like jumped up and down and like rolled around in it because she was just so excited for it. And you like think like, oh, that's a weird thing to want, but okay. Because I was like, you just got a new one like 2 years ago. And she's like, no, I want this one. And it's like this fuzzy one that's like, I want one now. Like it's so awesome. But at first I thought like, oh, you're strange. But it made her so happy. And then we like redid her room, and she's like got new little lights, and she's so excited. But one of her disappointing thing was the LED lights that I got her for her room. They weren't long enough, so I had to send them back and order new ones. So we're waiting on those to finish setting up her room. And so she's disappointed because she wanted that done like now, like yesterday. And I'm like, just be patient, because it'll be better to have it done right, with the right length of things, than to do it like not entirely correct and it look bad. So I was like, let's just wait and get the ones that are long enough so that it can look really good in your room, and then you'll be happy with it, rather than having something that's not 100% correct. So I think sometimes patience is something that we need to teach children too. And so my daughter's learning some things about patience and disappointment when we don't get the things that I was disappointed because I was like, oh, I like thought I ordered the right thing, but apparently I should have measured first. So yeah, but I also, in some ways it's good, because I went to my friend's house and their children had got the LED lights for Christmas, and her husband had done such a fantastic job of putting them up, and like they're so perfect, and I'm so OCD that I'm like, they need to be perfect. So he's gonna come over and put them up for her when they arrive in the mail. I'm like, yes, see, it's better that we waited, because now Preston's gonna come over and put them up for us, and they'll be perfect, instead of me doing a botched job of it. So sometimes a disappointment actually turns into a blessing.
That is so true. A disappointment can turn into the blessing. I love your daughter's lights. They're my favorite. My daughter has got one. She got one last year for her birthday. They're really nice when they're set up in the bedroom. Really nice. They make everything like so beautiful. So I like when Carol Ann says sometimes when things go wrong in life, you have to reframe, move forward, and let go of what has gone wrong. I think it is a good idea, because sometimes we have these expectations that we plan things ahead, and we we don't plan for problems, we plan for good things that will happen. So when those problems appears, then we are faced with the disappointment, and which is people can really find it hard moving forward. And some families actually can have a stronghold during Christmas because the other person, they bought them the wrong present, or they didn't make an effort. Basically, when it comes to present, you'll be surprised with that families go through Christmas time. So that's why I prefer to keep it simple with God. So when everybody else buys me present, I don't get disappointed. Because for me, what I do is I have a policy basically that if I don't have money, I cannot buy somebody present, or I have to ask them what they want. If it's something that is expensive, I can't buy it. I have to put money towards it. So I don't buy basically things that somebody will put it in the bin. So I have that policy when it comes to buying birthday present and stuff. So that's why I'm like, with the Christmas, I don't get disappointed anymore, because um, sometimes the disappointment can comes with the people like older generation when they lose their husband. Like Carol Ann, you say you've lost your mom and dad, and sometimes Christmas when you remember your families, like I lost my step parents, I lost my dad and my grandparents. So when Christmas comes, it can bring sadness, because everyone, when you are in a big gathering, it can show that there is something missing in your life. And when you look back to the memories, that can bring sadness as well. So for other people, and there are some people who have been married for 40 years, 30 years, and all of a sudden their spouse dies. And when Christmas comes, because if you've celebrated many years with your spouse, and all of a sudden they are no longer there, it can bring sadness regardless of how much joy you have in that moment. So it's all about what Carol Ann is saying, and Amanda, you said the same thing, that reframing everything and moving forward, creating new memories. It's about letting go of the old memories. You're not actually letting them go, you cherish them, but at the same time, you have to break away from them. And I like your daughter's present, Amanda, the duvet cover. I think that's amazing. That's hilarious. That's hilarious for a child to want that. It means she knows what she wants, basically, a Christmas present. So I love that. And sometimes the disappointment can come with food as well. Sometimes there are some people who are good chefs, they cook really well. So when they visit other families, they expect the food to be the same. And when the food doesn't turn out how is expected, it could bring a big disappointment. And so sometimes it's very important to basically to let go of what we expect, and just just basically just accept things, what could be things as they are, and just celebrate. Like sometimes, like myself, we had really, because we came to terms with isolation, and everyone came to terms with it. We had a very relaxing Christmas, not visiting family, because we were meant to go and visit family. And when you actually spend Christmas at home, you can have dinner whenever you want. You can open present whenever you want. You can drink whatever you want. You can open box of chocolates and eat whatever you want. So it was something that I've realized this year, that we didn't go to families. We were just at home, and we just did whatever we wanted. We got up in the morning asking, what do you want for breakfast? And basically, we just did whatever, more relaxing, not getting ready to go and visit somebody, because normally we go to my mother-in-law, normally we go to somebody else's house. So it was more chilled out, knowing that, of course, but we were cherishing the moment of no one is in the hospital, although we have positive case, no one is in the hospital. So that's what we cherished the most, just winding people up saying, "Oh, stay away, corona pandemic." So it was amazing. So I think that's really nice, just to reframe and create something positive. And if there is anyone who is watching, guys, if you have some comment of how you turned disappointment into joy, please feel free to type. We love to hear from you. And so that is nice. And for me also, the disappointment was I normally go to church in the morning on Christmas Day, and we were not able to go to church because of positive cases arising. So my pastor decided that we're not going to do it, it's going to be done on Zoom. So it was a disappointing as well, because I love to see people before Christmas, and I love to say hello and just say, is that a feeling of saying God bless you, have a lovely Christmas dinner, and just saying goodbye to people when you go to church in the morning and then go home. So it was another disappointment as well, but I had to pray at home. So I had to find a way to speak with God, to communicate with God. I had to be at home. So it was fine. Over to you, Carol Ann.
And I love it. It's just finding another way, and and making it your own. And I love that you were saying that you found that actually it was relaxing. It wasn't this hustle and bustle of got to go here and got to go there, and you're having to do things that fit in with everybody else. You did whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, and it's relaxing. And it was like I felt like there was some breathability came into your Christmas for you that hasn't been there, or you haven't been aware of before, that you could have. And that is a real joy. And I think that is a gift in itself from the universe, and it is about being open to these unexpected gifts. What seemed a disappointment is actually a gift in disguise, and it's being able to unwrap it and see what the gift is. And I love, Amanda, what you were saying about what 10-year-old wants a duvet for Christmas. Well, I know my grandchildren have had duvets for Christmas. They've requested specific ones and they've been absolutely thrilled. And as you say, that the joy then is actually then in making the bed with a new duvet, rearranging the room so it fits in, and it's just there's an excitement. It isn't just, oh, this is the present, that's it, thank you. There's something else that comes with it. There's an action that takes part, and there's something that you can share together. And that's a real joy. And I think it brings out the joy of Christmas, sharing time together in a very special way. And so I love that what Brad Warner says. But you know that disappointment is just the action of your brain readjusting itself to reality after discovering things are not the way you thought they were. And I just love that quote. It's because it is that adjustment and being able to adjust to it. And so I just like to share the process I took myself through yesterday, and I didn't, and actually managed to finish, and I managed to complete it today because I let myself sit and wallow yesterday. And because there's more to the disappointment than just one thing, the fact that it isn't what you wanted or it isn't how you thought it would be. So what you could do is, and what I did was I got a big piece of paper and I wrote disappointment in the middle. And around that word, I put what my feelings were. How was I feeling? I was feeling deflated, upset, lethargic, sad, angry. All of these feelings came, and there might be different ones for you, but it's actually about acknowledging what is going on for you in that moment rather than making it wrong. And then on another part of the piece of paper, just identify, well, what actually happened? What was it that happened that had you feel disappointed? Or caused this disappointment to come up? What was it? And if it was more than one thing, just put them down. So you're actually identifying it, you're naming it, and you're writing it down. And then on another part of the piece of paper, you can just say, well, what did you make it mean about you or about the other person? And one of the things I made yesterday mean when that call didn't happen was that they don't really care about me. I'm on my own. I can't trust people to be their word. And with the present, it was like, well, they don't know me. So what do you make it mean? Because there are these little phrases come into your head, and it's because you've made it mean something. That is actually also where the disappointment is. It's this happens, you make it mean this, and the two gets collapsed together. But it's separating it out. And then also in another corner, I wrote down, well, who am I being in that moment around that disappointment? And I was being ungrateful. I was being judgmental. I was being unloving, critical. I became sullen. It's like miserable, discontented, disgruntled. So who are you being? Identify it. And it's okay. It's not about making it wrong. It's acknowledging it and recognizing this is who you're being. And what do you end up doing? So then make a note of, well, what do you end up doing? For me, I ended up wanting to go to sleep. I felt lethargic. I kept sitting and watching the telly instead of doing what I wanted to get done yesterday. And I kept eating. I kept picking at the chocolates. I kept going into the kitchen and eating and picking at things. And actually, by the end of the evening, last night, I felt really uncomfortable because I just couldn't stop myself from picking and eating too much. And I allowed it to consume me. And I allowed it to consume all my attention. So that was what I was doing. So, what do you end up doing? Recognize it. And then what I did this morning, I thought, okay, I can't sit with this because it was still consuming all my thoughts, especially about the call yesterday. So I did an NLP process, having identified all of that. And what you can do is you can bring disappointment out onto one hand, and you can bring out the what is happy, or what you would call the opposite, delighted, elated, jubilant, the time when you're really, yes, I got what I wanted, and you're really contented and happy. So you look at the disappointment first of all, and you just look at the different modalities. You say, okay, has it got a shape? Has it got a color? Is it still or is it moving? Has it got a sound? Has it got a smell? Has it got a taste? And has it got a texture? And just make a note of all of those. And then do the same with the happy and contented and jubilant side. Again, it's like, has it got a shape, a color? Is it still or moving? Has it got a sound? Has it got a smell? Has it got taste? And has it got a texture? And write them down so you can see that you get to identify the differences. And then the one that's the really jubilant, happy one, you just shake it into the hand. I mean, there's different ways about doing this particular part, but I love this one and used to do it with my eldest granddaughter when she was a child. We very often did this process and just shake that, the happy, contented, jubilant one into the discontented hand. Just shake it as hard as you possibly can and just keep doing that. And then explore that again and make a note of what's changed. Go through all those modalities again. What's changed? And then notice how you're feeling. And for me, everything, it just changed. things were moving, light sort of started coming out of the darkness, the shape changed and was much brighter. It went from black to bright sunshine, you know, and then all of a sudden I was being happy and grateful. I was actually present and able to transform the whole experience and move on and actually be present and get on with my day and do the things I wanted to get done this morning, which I wasn't getting done earlier. So there's a little process that you could do to shift yourself. Again, I come back to, as I always say, the choice is yours. You can sit and wallow in it, or you can make something of it. And what we're hearing here today, Nomps has said the things that she's, you know, that made things differently. Amanda, they've made something out of what was disappointments. And this is another way of actually really shifting things at a deeper level. And you can apply this to not just presents or Christmas, but business, life, anytime there's that disappointment. And the last couple of years, we've had many disappointments. And who's going to know what else is going to show up for us? So moving into 2022, let's create that we'll make 2022 a way of whatever disappointments show up, we can bounce back. It's that flexibility that Nomsa was talking about. And also Amanda has said, without using that word, that flexibility of reframing. So that's something I just thought I'd like to share with you because it transformed me this morning. And I'm really grateful to have these skills to be able to do that. And so that's what I'd like to share with you. So Amanda, what else would you like?
I like what you said about having some strategies because I think that each of us have different strategies to get ourselves out of our funks of disappointment. But it might be different for everyone. So what you did can work for you, or maybe that's something that people want to try. I know for me, going to yoga helps whenever I'm in a funk. If I go to yoga, then I definitely can get myself out of my funk by going and moving, or even just getting myself out for a run or going for a brisk walk. Those are the sort of things. Or even when one time I after going to a retreat years ago, one of the things they said was, when you're struggling, what's something that you can do that will brighten your day? And one of the things I said was, I'll dance with my daughter in the kitchen. And so that's something that, just something little and funny and fun, can just like change your mood and your energy completely. And so it's also like recognizing when you need to consciously make that decision to change your energy, because you do have control over it. But sometimes you need to just sit in that for a little bit and then get out of it. So yeah, what about you, Nomza?
The strategy of doing exercises, I think it does really help. And Amanda, going to yoga, I think it does really, really help. For me, is prayer when I'm disappointed. Like yesterday, some people had to go and visit families, so I had to look after my daughter and stay at home. So instead of going running, I couldn't go running, so I had to do some dance. If you have some dance move, I had to do some dance move. It felt really good. So I love the exercises, Carol, and I think your exercises are really, really good. And they're really useful because it makes you being aware of writing, and the one for the hand as well, writing down whatever your feelings and stuff and what actually happens. Because I find that when you write things down, you're confronting yourself. I don't know whether you guys have realized that writing things down is a confrontation for you to face the truth, to face what has really, really happened. And I love that. I find when I write things down, and it means I'm having a confrontation with myself and with my feelings, and also going to yoga as well. It changes your energy because when you are disappointed and something goes wrong, your body gets all ties and stuff with the stress. So when you go and stretch out, it does help because you're giving yourself that flexibility, the energy, you're bringing a good energy to you. So I think it does help. For me, is either I sing, I dance, I pray, and it makes me feel good and also forgive myself if there is some disappointment, because we shouldn't feel disappointed when it comes to life. We should crucify our flesh basically. So I have to forgive myself when I feel angry or feel disappointed, because sometimes we're human, so you are gonna feel that. So I do have to deal with things straight away when I'm feeling that way. But I love what you guys are saying, that you have to reframe things. When things go wrong, you have to reframe it. You have to find a way basically to actually deal with the things instead of basically feeling sorry for yourself. Find that joy. Wherever there is disappointment, there is joy. Like Amanda, you have to share your daughter. I have to do the same with our dad. So, and we have to find, for me, unfortunately, I'm somebody that I always tell them to tell me what they're doing on Christmas Day or New Year's Day. So, and then we find a way to make things work between us. So it's not very nice to sharing a child, but it has to happen. So we do find a way. And I know there are some families, basically divorced families, it doesn't end with divorce. You still have to find a way basically to family gathering and stuff. And I love Carol and the feelings. When you write down the feelings, you confront the feelings, you ask yourself basically what actually happened, identifying and not being critical. When Carol Ann is explaining that we shouldn't make things wrong, it's like sometimes the parents, when parents are divorced, sometimes the parents can blame themselves as well. But guess what? God doesn't say when you meet somebody you're gonna die forever with them. So things do happen. So we have to forgive ourselves. And also the relationship, people change in relationships. And so when that happens, when divorce happens, you shouldn't have to blame yourself. We need to find a way to reframe every situation, because we are here on earth for purpose. So imagine you blame yourself, like Carol Ann is saying, don't blame yourself, don't make it wrong. And then God is trying to get through to you to put it to basically healing for you, and you are busy holding on to that pain. So we have to let go and reframe whatever is going wrong in life. I think is understandable, and disappointment will always come your way. When it comes to business, I've been disappointed in business, I've been disappointed in relationships, I've been disappointed in so many ways, but I always find a way to reframe my life, to say, okay, this is the disappointment that I'm facing, so I'm going to reframe it and basically just make it work for me. Just make it work for me, because we are here on earth for a purpose. We have a role to play. So if you don't play that role, then if the disappointment does not appear, it takes the fun out of life. So we just have to, we just have to find a way to basically to bring that energy, yoga, prayer, meditation, everything. Or it could be talking to somebody, could be doing exercises, what Carol Anna has suggested, anything. So whatever works for you. Over to you, Carol Ann.
Yeah, and it is what works for you, and it is being open to attempting all sorts of things. But as I said before, the choice is yours. The choice is yours whether you want to shift out of that disappointment and make it work for you, or allow it to work against you. And so I just like to leave everyone with this wonderful quote. disenchantment, whether it is a minor disappointment or a major shock, is the signal that things are moving into transition in our lives. That's by William Throsby Bridges. And I love that idea that it's something we're moving into transition in our lives. It's a way of looking at something with different eyes rather than being stuck in that rut of the sameness. And I think this is what 2020 and 2021, this whole time, has come to teach us. Get out of the rut. Look at things in a different way with a different perspective. And the quote, what's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different response. Well, I'm a bit curious about what is now happening. You're expected to, you've had that 1, 2, there's a third coming up, and there's possibly a fourth coming up of the same thing. And is it really making a difference? Or is there something else that's come here to teach us to think in a different way, open us up, and we're transitioning into something different in our lives? And it's about being open, flexible, and creating joy out of it, rather than letting it consume your life. So, yeah, live life with joy and not disappointment. Amanda, what about you? What would you like to leave them with?
I was going to leave you with we're all human and we are here and we have all different ranges of emotions and ranges of feelings, and all of our feelings are okay, but it's what we choose to sit with that determines your outcome. So you may be disappointed, but how long you're disappointed for is really up to you, right? You can be angry or sad or joyful or happy or excited, and how long you prolong those feelings are up to you. But I think subconsciously sometimes our emotions are subconscious, but then when we consciously bring them to light, that's when we get to choose. And so don't be mad at yourself for being disappointed or being sad or angry. Just recognize that you're human and you're meant to have a range of all different emotions. But when you're conscious of it, that's when you truly get to choose and choose the direction that you want.
So much. Thank you so much, Amanda and Carol. And for me, basically, when you get disappointment when it comes to holidays, focus on what Christmas is about in your life, and just forget about disappointment, because the disappointment will always be there. But hold on to what it is all about, and know that basically people around us are not capable of perfection, so you can't expect everything to be perfect. Put your trust in God and you will never be disappointed. When you put your trust in the flesh, you will be disappointed. But when you put your trust in the universe or God, my beliefs is God. So if your beliefs is the universe, whoever God you then just put your trust in God and the universe. You won't be disappointed when things go wrong, because you know that you know why you celebrate Christmas. If disappointment comes, whether you're having somebody, a family member who is critical, who's full of criticism during holidays and spoiling your Christmas, just hold on to that joy that you have, because you can only bring joy to yourself, not anybody else. So we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. So if you want to get in touch with our coaches and speakers, please do go through our page or the website and get in touch with them, whoever you feel you want to connect with. And live with grace, everyone. God bless you. See you tomorrow.